Jimmy Kimmel did not open his monologue by discussing one of Donald Trump's speeches. Instead, he held up the promotional poster for the Great American State Fair, an event billed as a centerpiece of the nation's 4th of July celebration, marking America's 250th anniversary. Organizers promoted it as a major gathering on the National Mall, featuring live entertainment, patriotic displays, and a crowd expected to make history.
And it said basically, he is the worst host of the history. He reads the whole thing. And then I think he said something like, ha, 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 he thinks he bothers me or some crap like that. I said, he's one of the dumbest human beings ever. He should have listened to his wife. What a dope.
You're looking good, though, Mr. President. Who did your makeup? Kraft Singles? As the president will tell you repeatedly until you beg him to stop, President Trump has accomplished so much during his second term. He passed new incentives for oil and gas. He put the brakes on solar and wind. Late last night, the Angry Orange posted, "Why does ABC fake news keep Jimmy Kimmel, a man with no talent and very poor television ratings, on the air? Why do the TV syndicates put up with it? Also, totally biased coverage. Get the bum off the air." Like 80 texts when I woke up sending me this article from Rolling Stone. It says, Trump White House pressured Disney to censor Jimmy Kimmel. Now, Disney is the company that owns ABC, our network, and Jimmy Kimmel is me. So obviously I was interested in seeing what it was. But according to the story, in 2018, Donald Trump, who was at that time president of the United States, was so upset about my jokes. Our FIFA Peace Prize winning president posted this morning, "If the corrupt politicians of Minnesota don't obey the law and stop the professional agitators and insurrectionists from attacking the patriots of ICE who are only trying to do their job, I will institute the Insurrection Act," which many presidents have done before me, and quickly put an end to the travesty that is. I mean, what a thing to brag about. Is it like bragging about passing a breathalyzer test? It doesn't mean you did great. All it means is they're not going to lock you up, okay? What you should be worried about is the fact that your behavior is so erratic, they keep asking you to take these tests. Yeah, right.
Kimmel explained that the story changed as the advertised lineup began to unravel. Displaying the original promotional material, he went through several of the announced performers one by one. Martina McBride announced she would no longer participate. Young MC also said he was not involved. Morris Day and representatives connected with the Time questioned how the booking had been presented. The Commodores later withdrew, while other artists stated publicly that their participation had either never been finalized or had been inaccurately described. After reviewing the growing list, Kimmel looked toward the audience and joked, "This looks less like a concert lineup and more like a list of people discovering they already had other plans." The audience responded with immediate laughter. One performer canceling an appearance would not normally attract widespread attention. Touring schedules change, negotiations fall through, and artists sometimes withdraw for personal or professional reasons. But when multiple acts publicly distance themselves from the same event, the situation naturally invites closer scrutiny. Critics questioned whether some performers had been announced before formal agreements had actually been completed. The discussion became even more unusual when questions arose surrounding the inclusion of Milli Vanilli. Representatives connected to the group's legacy disputed how the act had been advertised, raising additional questions about who had actually agreed to perform and under what name. Kimmel seized on the irony, joking that, when Milli Vanilli starts asking for authenticity, you know something unusual is happening. The audience laughed again. The joke resonated, because Milli Vanilli remains closely associated with one of the music industry's most famous lip-syncing scandals. That history made the dispute over the event's promotional materials particularly ironic, especially as questions emerged over whether the advertised act accurately reflected the performers who had actually agreed to appear. Rather than suggesting that every artist declined for political reasons, Kimmel focused on the planning itself. His questions centered on execution rather than ideology. Why announce performers before contracts were fully secured? Why market the event as a major cultural showcase before every appearance had been finalized? And why did public corrections seem to occur only after artists themselves clarified the situation? Those questions transformed what might have remained an entertainment story into a broader discussion about credibility and organization. Kimmel also observed that Trump's public image has long emphasized size and spectacle, the biggest crowds, the largest events, the highest ratings, and the most impressive achievements. That style of messaging can create high expectations. When every announcement is presented as historic, even routine logistical problems can take on greater significance. For many longtime viewers, the comparison stood out. National celebrations have traditionally aimed to represent the country as a whole rather than any single political figure. Because this event became closely associated with Trump's personal brand, each dispute over the lineup attracted additional attention and fueled questions about how the event had been organized. Kimmel further noted that this was not the first time a Trump-related public celebration had faced challenges securing prominent entertainment acts. Similar discussions surrounded the 2017 presidential inauguration, leading some observers to view the latest controversy as part of a recurring pattern rather than a one-time scheduling problem. He concluded with the observation that drew the strongest audience reaction. If the performers aren't fully confirmed before the posters are printed, why should anyone accept the headline without checking the fine print? Laughter gradually gave way to applause. That became the central point of the segment. A canceled booking can happen to any event, but announcing major successes before every detail has been finalized can raise broader questions about planning, execution, and public credibility.